For a long time, historians and skeptics approached the biblical texts with a specific assumption. They viewed the stories as pure spiritual allegory, ancient moral philosophy completely detached from physical, historical reality. This skepticism is rooted in the logic of the telephone game. The idea is that oral traditions and handwritten manuscripts inevitably degrade over thousands of years, mutating original events into unrecognizable myths. But recent advances in deep Earth archaeology and molecular chemistry are providing new ways to look at the ground beneath our feet. Researchers are pulling physical data from the Earth that directly intersects with the people, places, and events recorded in Scripture. Testing these ancient texts against modern scientific instruments is exposing a detailed historical record that persists beneath the theological layers. Look at the harsh, arid geography of the Judean desert. For millennia, these isolated limestone caves acted as a natural vault, protecting whatever was placed inside from moisture and decay. In 1947, Bedouin shepherds accidentally stumbled upon one of these openings. When they threw a rock inside, they heard the sound of breaking pottery, marking the start of one of the most significant archaeological finds in history. Inside those very jars were the Dead Sea Scrolls. Today, conservators use specialized techniques to secure these fragile parchment fragments, preserving a library that had been hidden for 2,000 years. Carbon dating placed these scrolls in a time period that predates the next oldest known Hebrew manuscripts by 10 centuries. This discovery jumped the historical record back across a massive 1,000-year gap. When linguists compared this ancient lettering to the modern versions of the same texts, they found that the wording remained consistent. Even with the 1,000-year difference, the names and phrasing were remarkably stable. Finding these exact matches suggests that the ancient scribal process was far more rigorous and disciplined than the telephone game theory suggests. Transitioning to the stone monuments of Egypt, we see a culture obsessed with recording its history in grand, permanent detail. Critics have often noted the absence of official Egyptian records documenting the departure of the Israelites. A massive slave exodus, they argue, should be carved deeply into the stone walls of a temple or palace. However, ongoing excavations of residential areas from this period are unearthing strange patterns. Entire settlements that were occupied for generations, then suddenly and completely abandoned. This search led researchers to investigate the tomb of the pharaoh associated with the Exodus era. Instead of the meticulously planned chambers standard for Egyptian royalty, the architecture shows signs of rushed, erratic construction, as if cut short by a sudden crisis. These structural anomalies provide a physical match for the timeline of the biblical Exodus, a period of sudden, massive social disruption. In this context, the absence of a standard victory monument makes sense. A civilization reeling from a sudden collapse doesn't typically record its own losses. Beyond the ruins of stone and parchment, investigators are now finding data within the code of life itself. This chart tracks modern DNA lineages back through history, with various branches funneling down into a single narrow genetic bottleneck, a moment where the human population was radically reduced. While the specific timing of this event is still being debated by geneticists, the existence of such a bottleneck provides a biological framework that aligns with the scriptural account of a demographic reset. We see this same intersection between science and scripture when applying molecular chemistry to artifacts from the 1st century. This ancient burial cloth has baffled chemists for decades. Modern analysis has identified molecular changes in the fibers that point to a unique radiation event, one that researchers still struggle to replicate today. From the mapping of human lineages to the chemical analysis of ancient textiles, the data pulled from the microscopic world is beginning to interface with the historical claims of the Bible. We just looked at evidence from 4 distinct disciplines: linguistics, archaeology, genetics, and molecular chemistry. When data from these independent fields points toward the same historical events, the narrative shifts from simple myth to a documented reality. History is an ongoing investigation. The next major discovery is likely waiting in the next shovel scoop of dirt or under the next microscope slide. To see more of what happens when science and history intersect with scripture, make sure to follow the page.